Why do you choose to serve this cloud spirit?
It is my destiny, and I must fulfill it, just as you must fulfill yours.
I was not aware that I had one.
All of us have a destiny. Some are predestined, others are determined by choice. I believe yours to be of the latter.
How is it possible that I can stand upon thin air?
Such are not the questions you should be asking. You have come for the Air Gem, or the Growth Gem as it was once named by the ancients. It has not been termed thus without reason, for one who would have the gem as his own must prove himself grown and thus worthy of it.
Meaning, no disrespect.
Cloud Spirit.
Thank you. You must agree, Cloud Spirit, that I am a man fully grown, thus fulfilling your prerequisite.
A howling wind deafens you momentarily, though you feel nothing on your skin. The Cloud Spirit speaks again, a little more forcefully.
It is not enough that you have grown in body. That much is evident. It must be proven that you have also grown in both mind and soul. So on these shall you be tested.
Tested?
Those who bear the burden of king are expected to possess certain qualities. Your actions will be judged against the weight of these. It shall be seen whether you are deserving of your title. It shall be seen whether you are worthy of the Growth Gem.
After a moment of silence, the Cloud Spirit intones,
Behold your first test.
The mist around you clears, and you find yourself in a familiar place. This is Daventry, and furthermore, you are a child again. A slight dizziness overwhelms you for an instant. How strange, you no longer recall anything past this moment in time. It is as if this is happening again for the first time. Even stranger, you are still vaguely aware that you are undergoing a test of some kind, though for what purpose you cannot fathom. But look, it is Malvolio, your best friend. The two of you are deeply engrossed in a game of bat and ball.
Ouch!
Uh-oh! That sounds like the king now! What do we do?
You there.
Yes?
Yes? Is that how you address your liege?
No, your Majesty, King Edward, sir. I mean, sire.
Which of you two boys threw that ball? The one that just happened to land on my head?
You summon all your courage and speak up.
Your Majesty, if you please. It was I who hit the ball over the castle wall. It was my fault completely. Please do not punish my friend.
The king eyes you carefully. You wonder if you are now in serious trouble.
I would not punish one for something so trivial. However, I will see you play your game elsewhere, away from here.
Yes, sire.
One more thing, my young fellow. You have demonstrated good character today by taking the blame for your friend. The finest knights in this realm demonstrate their compassion by protecting others, even if that should mean putting themselves at risk. I find that to be a rare quality in the many I meet. When you have grown up, I hope to see you again, perhaps in my service.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
Behold your second test.
You feel yourself growing older, more so than before the tests began. Again, dizziness overcomes you. Your memory of the previous test fades, and in its place, your mind is filled with the knowledge of everything that has since come to pass. This includes, unfortunately, the dreadful misfortunes which have plagued Daventry since the coming of the terrible three-headed dragon. To make things worse, your 17-year-old daughter has been demanded as its latest sacrifice. In return, it will not harm the rest of the population until the next demand. You would go forth to destroy the dragon yourself, but you no longer have the heart for such quests. Never have you felt so forlorn, so frail. You fear that given the choice, you would do anything to rectify the situation.
A charming view. No wonder you come here so often.
You. I will see you hanged for this intrusion. Guards! Guards!
Calling them will do you no good. For even if they come, they will find their king speaking to only the air he breathes.
A pox on thee! Who are you?
My name, my true name, has been heard by none for nigh on a millennium. It is enough that you know me as the Father.
Then say what you have come to say and be gone.
You never were one for small talk.
You cursed my family. As a result, that dragon is now loose upon the land, and one of my children was kidnapped.
Now that is not quite the truth.
Do you deny your involvement?
Not at all. It is just that you have omitted so much.
Speak and be gone.
Very well. I want your crown.
You cannot believe what you have just heard. This vile creature has caused untold misery throughout your land for nearly 18 years and has now infiltrated your castle just to ask that you hand over your authority to him? Of all the outrageous...
Is that what this is all about? You want to rule Daventry?
What would I want with a puny little kingdom when in a few short years I will have more power than Legitimor himself? No, I want only the thing you wear atop your head. Your crown. It is an essential part of my plan. Without it, my efforts to prepare for the ascension will have been in vain. I have waited far too long to be deterred from it now.
If you need it that badly, you could have just taken it. You had plenty of opportunities.
Are you completely ignorant of the legends of your predecessors? None can possess the crown of the first king unless it's given.
If you think for one moment that I would...
Before you speak further, consider this. In exchange for what I ask, I shall lift my curse and all that it entails from you and your blighted land. You shall have both it and your family restored in full. Minus your title, naturally.
Your mind reels at these words. For almost 2 decades, a countless number of innocent people have suffered under the afflictions Daventry has had to endure. So many more people would continue to suffer indefinitely, notwithstanding the pain you feel over your own family's misfortune. With a simple statement, you could put an end to it all. You dive forward, swinging your fist at the man to hit him. To your astonishment, your hand passes right through his face.
Did you think I would be so foolish as to come unprepared this time? I learned my lesson well.
To give you my crown would signify a change of leadership, so says the law of this land. It also says that the crown is to be worn only by those with the highest regard and intent for Daventry. So, to give it to such a vile being as you would betray the honor and memory of all the past kings who have worn it. No, I will not do it.
Not even for the sake of your family?
There are some principles for which even one's family must be sacrificed.
The man appraises you as a scientist would a unique specimen.
What an intriguing set of morals you have, King Graham. I almost look forward to the time when you will put aside your obligations here and seek me out. I have foreseen that we shall meet again.
Behold your third test.
Once again, you feel yourself age. You are many years older now, though still, thankfully, King of Daventry. As before, the knowledge of the previous test ebbs from your mind. This time, however, it is filled with a greater knowledge of all that has come to pass thus far. Many years have passed. Your children, once heirs to your throne, have forged their own paths in other kingdoms. Fortunately, chance has seen fit to fill the vacuum. Following the restoration of the Mask of Eternity, Daventry now has a new champion.
How do you feel?
I am deeply honored, sire.
All right. Now, how do you really feel?
Scared out of my wits, sire.
You smile and feel the lines in your face stretch. You hope you'll get used to it when the true time comes.
You know what they've been saying about my decision, that is.
The people question my ability to perform the duties when I have another higher obligation. I believe that I can attend to both with the utmost equity.
You do not deny that this obligation may arise at any moment, perhaps taking you away from this country at a time of great need?
Of course not, sire, but I shall deal with that troll, as they say, when I cross that bridge.
And there is the matter of you not being of royal birth. That does not sit comfortably with some of the nobles.
The qualities of truth, light, and order can shine from even the most impoverished of souls. Nobility is defined through one's actions, not one's lineage, Your Majesty.
You cannot help but smirk. For a man who had once lived as a peasant, he speaks extremely well.
Kneel. Your sword. By virtue of your bravery, loyalty, and good conscience, I have chosen you to be my first knight. Thus you are my successor and heir to this throne. Arise, Sir Connor of Daventry.
In an instant, you find yourself standing before the Cloud Spirit once more. You also notice that it is starting to get dark.
You have demonstrated your sound understanding of compassion, honor, and loyalty. These attributes transcend the mind and speak of the soul within you. Growth continues unabated throughout the lives of all living things. You have grown much, learnt a great deal, and will continue to grow in all ways. You are judged worthy of the Heir and Growth Gem.
You take the Growth Gem. As you feel the knowledge of the last test fade from your mind, the cloud beneath your feet begins to evaporate. You'd better get out of here quickly, Graham. Finally, your flight comes to an end. You hope that it will be quite a while before you take to the air again.
Where would you like me to land?
On the ground would be fine.
Take this sugar cube. It will protect against the poisonous growth of this land. Fare thee well.
You notice you have lost a few things during your descent, mostly all that paper you were carrying. You are not concerned, though, as long as you don't get into trouble for littering. As dusk sets in and the pallid moon rises above the darkened horizon, you recall the Door of Destiny's words regarding the third gem, through swampy mire, in lone dark castle. Then you remember the great Neptune's disquiet reluctance to speak of Kalima's lord. You sense a growing unease that this final gem may not be the easiest to acquire. Finding the door unlocked and unbarred, you enter the church. Feeling humbled, you kneel down to pray. You rise again after a few moments. The monk stirs, stands, and turns to face you.
Father, I go now to a place of darkness. While I am stout of heart, the path laid down before me is unclear. I seek only the knowledge that my passage be illuminated by heavenly favor, and a prayer that I may make it through.
The monk gives you a reassuring smile and pats you on the shoulder. He then lifts a silver cross from around his neck and places it in your hands.
Thank you.
You are welcome, my child.
You can talk?
Of course.
I thought monks were forbidden from speaking.
Not all churches follow the same rules, and this church is quite unique.
Really? How so?
The monk just smiles placidly at you.
About this crucifix.
I believe you will find the cross to be of immense value. It has come to us at a huge price.
It was expensive?
I mean that it has cost us more than any value to be in possession of it.
If I may ask, why is it that you only open the church at dusk?
We find the late hours more favorable.
But surely then you would not have many in your congregation.
Yes, that is true.
What do you know of the Count?
Only that he is a heathen, a blasphemer. You serve God well by going there, my child. Bless you.
The monk smiles at you, turns back to the altar, kneels, and resumes his prayers. A hideous statue of a grinning fiend forms an archway leading to the church's outdoor cemetery. You look over the Bible, which appears to be many decades old. You open it and find that an otherwise blank page at the front has been written on. It is dated over 20 years ago. You return the Bible to where you found it. You also notice that a page from the Bible has fallen onto the floor. You pick up the fallen page and read it. The words appear to have been written recently. Something wicked started war. Shame nobody ever saw. You place the silver cross and chain around your neck and wear it as a necklace. Without warning, a pair of wolves dart out of the dark forest and dash towards you. For a minute there, you thought those wolves were going to attack. Curious as to why they didn't, you decide to follow them. You see the monk standing alone outside the church. Then you notice the two wolves approaching him. You are about to yell a warning to the monk, but the words die in your throat as the man steps forward and pats the wolves' heads.
No, my brothers, we must not hurt him. Not yet. He will go to the heathen's abode. He will do what needs to be done. What if he does not? Then, my brothers, we will complete the task before us, the one we began many
Years ago.
You quickly move away from the church, your heart racing faster with every step. You have a good idea now what will happen once the moon comes out in full, and you do not want to be anywhere near here when it does. One thing's for sure, you're not getting married in that church. You'll need to walk around the other side of the house to do that.
Oh, sir, have you seen my little granddaughter? She ventured to the town to buy food for me, but has not yet returned. I fear she may be in peril. The forest is not safe at night.
You hear the sound of a child sobbing nearby. As you approach, you recognize the child. It is Possum, the little girl you helped earlier today.
Are you all right? What happened?
I ran
to town to buy some chicken soup for my grandma. I always try to reach home before dark, but this eve I lost my way and was attacked.
Attacked? A wolf attacked you?
No, not by a wolf, a dwarf.
For a moment, you're not sure that you heard correctly.
A dwarf, did you say?
Uh-huh. He jumped out at me, took my food, and then ran away.
Listen, I'm going to try to find this dwarf that you say stole your food. You get back to your grandma, understand?
Possum nods, says a soft thank you, and heads back home. You wrap up. You watch as a little man runs out of the door, which has been built into a tree. You surmise that you have found the culprit's home. The vague aroma of chicken soup confirms it. That fiend. Finding the door ajar, you cautiously open it and step inside the tree. You grab the handle of the bubbling pot of chicken soup. You take it with you. That's not a knife. The knife you found under a rock one time? Now that was a knife. Upon opening the trunk, you find a number of items that the dwarf has obviously stolen and stashed away. Among them are some gold coins. They display the distinctive face of the first king. They could only have come from the magic chest of Daventry. As you touch the inside, you hear the latch fall into place again as the door closes behind you.
Welcome. Come in, please. Possum told me to expect you.
You place the now cold chicken soup over the crackling fire once more. After it heats up to eating temperature, you remove it again. You offer the soup to Possum's grandma, introduce yourself, and wait courteously while the frail elderly lady eats the nourishing meal. When she is finished, she sets the empty bowl down elsewhere and turns her attention towards you. They say a home is one's castle, but your voice won't sound as good in here.
I still wish I had an owl to keep me company.
If you would like to speak with me for a while, I would welcome your company. A person should never turn away a visitor, especially when she reaches the twilight of her life.
You can't help but feel a sense of finality in the old woman's words.
You must have something in return for your kindness. You do not need to risk your safety for an old, worn-out woman like myself. Look under the bed. You should find something to keep you a little warmer on a cold night like this.
You peer under the bed and find a thick black cloak. Lying atop it is a beautiful ruby-encrusted ring. You pick both up with reverence.
I could not possibly take these fine things from you.
Oh, please. I want you to have them. Nights in Kolima are cold, believe me. As for the ring, well, perhaps it is better that I do not have it to remind me.
As you wish. You have a charming young granddaughter.
Grandma smiles at you graciously.
She is a treasure to me. I would do anything to ensure that no harm comes to her.
If I may inquire, what became of her parents?
Grandma frowns, and her eyes darken for a moment before she forces a melancholy smile to her face.
They were lost to us many years ago. I am afraid dear Possum never really knew her parents.
It must have been a daunting task raising a child by yourself, especially at your
At my age? I am certainly not as young as I used to be, and there is no shame in that. I have tried to raise her as best I could to keep her safe and well. However, I fear that as of late the reverse has become truer.
If you please, I was hoping you might tell me of the cloak and ring's origin.
The old woman closes her eyes as if the memory she seeks is painful to her senses.
They were my husband's. He was a proud man, the last of his line. His family had been rich, a great deal of old money, you might say. They lived in that castle you might have seen to the north. Its location upon that island is evidence of how much they valued their privacy. He was a good man, my husband. He took care of me. Certainly he had his strange habits. Most men do, if you would pardon me for saying so. I suspect that he practiced magic, so I could never catch him in the act. He would frequently journey afar, taking that black cloak with him wherever he went, to places he would not talk about. He said that it represented something important to a certain group of people, and that I was never to mention it to anyone. But he was always there for me, always, until that fateful night. We had been married just over a year, and I was heavy with child. We were both out walking in the weirwood forest late one night. The air was warm, and in our youth we paid little attention to the world and its many dangers. Besides, there was a full moon. We could see clearly enough. A shadow passed over us. We looked up, thinking it might have been a stray cloud. It was not. Descending upon us like a demon was the largest, most hideous bat I had ever seen. Its fangs were bared, and it dove straight for me. I must have screamed.
My husband flung himself in front of me to protect me. He swung his arms about frantically in hopes of warding the horrid thing away. Perhaps he was trying to cast a spell, but could not recall how in his panic. It paid him no heed and would not be deterred. It swooped again and again relentlessly. At one point, my husband's hand must have clipped the bat's wing because it lost control and crashed into his shoulder. He tried to wrest the foul creature away, but then he shrieked suddenly. The horrid thing had bitten him. He never did recover from that incident. He just faded with each passing hour. Within 2 days of the attack, my husband had died. We buried him on his family's plantation on the island. Sometimes when I sleep, I can feel him watching over me, guarding me, protecting me. I think he is waiting for my time to come so we can be together always.
The old lady seems to be dozing off. You can barely hear her final words.
I miss him so.
Telling the story has clearly taken a great deal out of her. You watch the old woman a moment and notice her labored breathing as she sleeps. Despite the little girl's tireless daily efforts, perhaps there's nothing more to be done. The little girl is fast asleep.
Sister Agatha, my dear, tell me you have good news.
The king has arrived in Kalima, father.
That is not what I meant.
Yes. Well, he appears to be quite resourceful. It seems his reputation was not totally exaggerated.
He's still alive?
For now, but that will change soon, I think. The king has discovered that one of the gems he seeks is in the possession of a colleague of ours. Do you remember? Kaldor.
Yes. Is he still trustworthy?
Totally. Still sharp, and there's no questioning his loyalty. My humblest apologies, father, but would it not have been simpler for you to have dealt with Graham personally?
Fool! Imagine the ensuing chaos where Daventry's king murdered in his own land. How then would I be able to search for the item?
I see.
Failure is not an option.
Understood, father.
Keep me informed, preferably of good King Graham's death.
The black cloak is a fine garment. It feels thick and warm. The inside is lined with red satin. With a flourish, you fling the black cloak around your neck and fasten it. You are now wearing the beautiful ruby ring. You read the Bible page again. Something wicked started war. Shame nobody ever saw. You read the Bible page again. Something wicked started war. Shame nobody ever saw. You read the Bible page again. Something wicked started war. Shame nobody ever saw. You read the Bible page again. Something wicked started war. Shame nobody ever saw. The shrouded ghoul looks very frightening. His hands are little more than claws, and his face is nearly completely hidden inside the hood of the shroud. He is standing in a small boat.
Boatman, I need passage. I said...
I heard.
The ghoul's voice chills you to the bone. It speaks with a deep, resonating bitterness. You cannot make out a great deal of its face, but what you can see has the hairs on the back of your neck standing on end.
In life, I would row this boat for the master. Long ago was my untimely death in these waters, but still, I remember many things. Laughter, tears, joy, pain.
May I cross, Sir Boatman?
You have come to raid the master's house. This I know, but care not about. You should be warned, though. The master is not what he once was. Never has this land known a kinder, more compassionate, and nobler ruler than he. But his fate has long since been decided. Down a dark path he now treads, and he feels naught for anyone nor anything, save for one other, and even that is a rare trait for a Nosferatu.
You freeze. Neither the Door of Destiny nor Neptune mention this count as being undead.
If I may ask, Sir Boatman, how did this swamp come to be here? Is it natural?
No, the ground you stand upon was once farming land and dwellings for the peasantry.
How did it come to be like this?
A score of years past, after the master died, and a great morass opened up, covering the surrounding land with slime and poisoned water. Once rich and fertile, now it is no longer.
The Count has caused this?
It is believed so, for why else would his own castle be spared?
Ah, thank you, Sir Boatman.
The boatman accepts your payment and motions for you to climb into the boat. The shrouded ghoul paddles across the toxic lake to the shore on the other side. It feels grainy. After swallowing the magic sugar cube, you get a feeling of invincibility. The sharp thorns brush against your skin. However, instead of feeling intense pain, you only experience a slight tingling sensation. Evidently, the magic sugar cube did its job. Lord Herbert and Lady Lillian, 1646 to 1668, loving parents of Anastasia, beloved son and daughter-in-law of Count Caldor and Countess Lavidia, our enemies be warned, their untimely deaths shall be avenged. Lord Herbert and Lady Mary Ann Drinkwater, 1230 to 1266. They had traveled safely for many a day, until crossing a bridge along their way, she lost her balance and fell to her fate. He tried to save her, but it was too late. The ghosts waver, as if being threatened by even the slightest breeze, yet something holds them in place. It may be nothing more than an intensely strong determination or sense of purpose that keeps the spirits anchored to this world. When you speak to the ghosts, they utter a mournful wail. Kitty, 1500 to 1510. Sudden did the illness come upon sweet Kitty, no longer young. There is nothing more that can be done. Her lives are up. She's had her fun. Lord Herbert and Lady Lillian, 16. P. Hogan, date of death 86. Dundee was done from number 1. Boris and Olga. There was an old couple named Olga and Stovich, who in truth made quite a nice pair. They lived with each other for many long years till they wound up in each other's hair. Date of death, 1567. Count Christopher Ivere, 1175 to 1200. The young Ivere, his time so near, said he, my dear, lend me your ear, please do not fear, my life ends here. Alfred Chamberlain, 810 to 810. He'd not seen his first sunrise, felt not the warmth of dawn. All who saw him wept and cried, to this world he'd come stillborn. Samuel You Believe, 1255 to 1300. This young man sought to be holy, to save himself from being lowly. He joined the hood and wore their cloth, eventually died from professional sloth. Count Bartholomew Scrooge, 1017 to 1101. To warnings he would pay no mind, of his failing, ailing health, his relatives they'd bide their time. After all, he had great wealth. Jacob Scarlett, 1354 to 1411. He would not rise from out of bed, not even to soothe his aching head. Should have heeded what the doctor said. It's too late now, for he is dead. This grave is centrally located within the cemetery. A stone gargoyle rests atop it. You see the name on the headstone and swallow hard. It says, Count Kaldar, died 1646. Though you did not think it possible, you suddenly feel a lot colder. Douglas Buckmaster, 995 to 1020. The noise, said he, is far too loud. As he discerned the maddened crowd, the mob broke in, then he did scream, I'd rather this a sight unseen. They strung him up from toe to head, and as for after, enough's been said. Susanna Somnia, 1195 to 1265. He had put her to bed after she'd had supper, but forgot next morning to stir and wake up her.